Chapter 13 of Ramayana's Yudhakhanda, Sugriva's impulsiveness. Apadamahartaram dataram sarvasampadam lokabhiramam Shriramam bhuyo bhuyo namamyaham. Rama turned aside to say something, and he found that Sugriva was not by his side. Sugriva had jumped into the air and was flying towards Lanka. A sudden spurt of anger against Ravana made him act impulsively. He was very angry, and in that mood, he rushed towards the terrace where Ravana was. Sugriva went very near the Rakshasa monarch and said, "I am the servant of the noble Rama, who is the Lord of the world. Your days are numbered. You will not be able to escape the wrath of Rama." Before Ravana could recover from the surprise of his visit, Sugriva sprang at him. He pulled his crown down and threw it on the ground. Ravana guessed who he was and said, "Your name is Sugriva, and very soon you will lose the beautiful neck which has earned that name for you." He grasped Sugriva in his mighty hands and pushed him to the ground. Sugriva was not bothered. He caught hold of Ravana and threw him as though he were a ball made of flowers. The two heroes were locked in a close wrestling match, and soon they were wounding each other. The fist fight went on for a while. When he saw that the Vanara was not to be subdued easily, Ravana adopted his Maya tactics and began to fight that way. Sugriva knew his limitations, and guessing the intentions of the Rakshasa, he jumped into the air and deceived Ravana by flying back to the Suvela hill. He landed beside Rama. The many monkeys who were watching this encounter of their master with Ravana were thrilled with Sugriva, and there were cries of joy from them. Rama embraced him and said, "What a thoughtless act was this of yours, my friend. Why did you not ask me for permission before you ventured on this dangerous mission? Kings should not give in to dictates of impulses like this. We were so worried for you, and you should not have done this. I want you to promise that you will not do like this anymore. If you had been killed, what would I have done after that? When once my friend is gone, there is nothing left for me in this world. Not Sita, nor Lakshmana, or Bharata, or Shatrughna, nor my very life will have any meaning once you are lost to me. I am fully aware of your strength, that you are like Varuna, and yet my mind was sunk in the depths of despair when you went off like that to fight with Ravana. I had at once made up my mind to fight with Ravana, kill him, and then after crowning Vibhishana as the monarch, I had decided to kill myself. I promise you these were the thoughts in my mind when I found that you were not there by my side." Sugriva stood with a shame-faced look on his face and said, "Rama, when I saw Ravana, who had stolen your wife, who has caused you untold misery, my anger knew no bounds, and how could I hold back?" Rama smiled and turning to Lakshmana said, "Let us make our preparations, Lakshmana. The omens indicate that it will be a great war, which is to be fought between us and the Rakshasas. Let us make haste and enter the city of Lanka." Rama descended from the top of the Suvela hill. Preparations were brisk in the army of Rama, and after studying the time and the position of the sun in the heavens, Rama chose the proper moment and began his march towards Lanka. Vibhishana, Sugriva, Hanuman, Jambavan, Nala, Nila, and Lakshmana went with him. The Vanaras armed themselves with stones, rocks, and trees and proceeded with great excitement. Very soon they reached the neighborhood of Lanka. They took up the positions which had been assigned to them by Rama. Rama went towards the northern gate where Ravana was said to have stationed himself. It was protected by an immense army of Rakshasas. Rama glanced at their weapons and their armors. The trees and gardens were slowly covered by the army made up of Vanaras. The Rakshasas found that the army was indeed formidable and not small and insignificant as they thought it would be. Jai Shri Ram. Shri Ram Ram Rame Tirame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Ramanama Varanane. Om Shri Ramar Pranamast. Chapter 14 of Ramayana's Yudhakhanda, Angada's mission. Apadamahartaram Dataram Sarvasampadam Lokabhiramam Shri Ramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamya. Rama was ready to begin the fight, and yet he decided to follow the rules of fighting very strictly. A messenger had to be sent to try finally for peace and to avert the war if possible. Accordingly, after discussing with friends, Rama decided to send Angada to Ravana. He summoned the young prince and said, "Child, you are fearless and you are capable of obeying me, of conveying my message intelligently. So I have decided to send you to Ravana. Go into the city and go to the presence of Ravana. Give him this message. Your glory will soon be lost and your kingdom too. Your death is very near since you are lacking in wisdom. You are a thief. Your pursuit of sinfulness against rishis, against the devas and against all God-fearing men will finally yield fruit. You will reap the reward for all your foul deeds. It is inevitable that you should suffer for your sins. I have come to punish you for stealing my wife. The boons you have obtained from Brahma are of no use to you now. Your pride will soon be humbled. You were very brave when you separated me from my wife and stole her when I was absent. It is time for you to show me your prowess and let me see how brave you are when you face me in battle. If, however, you agree to return Sita to me and ask for forgiveness of me, I will stop this fight. Else, you will have to fight. I assure you, this world will then be rid of all Rakshasas because of the sharpness of my arrows and the deadliness of my anger. Vibhishana is a good soul, and he came to me seeking refuge at my feet. I will make him the monarch of Lanka after killing you. You have been unfortunate in your ministers, since there is no one there to advise you properly, and so you cannot be king for long, steeped in sin as you are. Summon up enough courage to fight. If you meet your death at my hands, you will be cleansed of all your sins, and you will find a place in the heavens. Take one last look at your beloved Lanka and come to the battlefield. Tell him this and bring me back his reply." Angada jumped into the sky and very soon he reached the great hall where Ravana was closeted with his ministers. Angada, with his golden bracelet gleaming in the sunlight, went to the presence of Ravana, and he looked like a tongue of flame. He announced himself to Ravana. He said, "I am the messenger from Rama. I am the son of Vali and my name is Angada. I have brought you a message from Rama." He then repeated the words of Rama and waited for Ravana to speak. The anger of Ravana knew no bounds. He told his ministers, "Capture this monkey which is bereft of reason. Torture him for his audacity." 4 Rakshasas caught hold of Angada, who allowed them to do so. When they were tying him up, he jumped into the air along with them and landed on the terrace of the mansion. He flung them from him and saw them fall to the ground. He then broke the turret of the mansion to splinters, and with a roar of triumph, he returned to the presence of Rama. Ravana was furious with him for what he had done, but he could do nothing about it. Rama felt that he had given every chance to Ravana, and since he did not accept his words, war was now inevitable. That was certain. The Rakshasas, who were guarding the gates, were watching the progress of the Vanara army. Most of them were not afraid, but some were frightened. Everyone on either side was eager to see the beginning of the war. The Vanaras were particularly jubilant, and the Rakshasas were equally impatient. They were complacent and they were sure of destroying the army made up of monkeys, and they were not worried. Word was conveyed to Ramana about the latest developments. that Rama had begun his march towards the city and that his army had reached the four gateways. Ravana made haste to ensure the safety of the city, and in a fit of anger he went up to the terrace of his palace. From there he saw the sea of monkeys which was surrounding his city. For a moment he was worried as to how that army was to be destroyed. But his natural arrogance asserted itself, and he looked very intently at Rama and the army he had brought. Rama was greatly excited now that he had decided on war. He saw too that Lanka was overflowing with Rakshasas who had been placed there to guard the city. Rama's thoughts at once went to Sita, and he thought, "It is here that my dear beloved Sita is imprisoned. She is wasting away because of sorrow and seated on the ground. She mourns the fact that she is parted from me." The thought of Sita was enough to spur him to activity. He commanded his army to begin their task of destruction. The moment they heard his words, the monkeys vied with each other to rush towards the great gates and begin to fight. Their shouts resounded everywhere, and it was frightening to the weak-minded. The Vanaras had armed themselves with huge boulders and trees which had been uprooted from the hill which was nearby. Jai Shri Ram. Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Ramanama Varanane. Om Shri Ramar Pranamastu. Chapter 15 of Ramayana's Yudhakhanda, the Nagapasha. Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Vedase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaya Pataye Namaha. Rama's army rushed towards Lanka. They began to attack the gateways and to destroy them. The Vanaras shouted and occupied the high walls surrounding the city, and their shouts were echoed from the surrounding hills. The wall was broken, and the eastern gate was also broken. Very soon the south was attacked, and also the west. The Vanaras occupied the spots which had been indicated by their commanders, and Rama with Lakshmana went towards the northern gate and attacked it. Nothing could be seen except the many Vanaras leaping from place to place and the destruction following in the wake of their progress. Ravana hastened to send his army to oppose the onrush of the Vanaras. With the noise of trumpets and drums, the army of Ravana came out of the city to defend it. They were ready to fight with the Vanara army led by Rama. They were like the waves of the ocean, and they kept on advancing towards the monkeys. The earth trembled at the steps of the Rakshasas as they marched towards the Vanaras. The encounter between the two armies was terrible, and it was like that between the Devas and the Asuras in the olden days when they fought for the Amrita on the shores of the ocean of milk. The river of blood began to flow, and soon the field presented a gory sight. Several duels were fought. Indrajit, the son of Ravana, fought with Angada, and it was a glorious fight to watch. Hanuman encountered Jambumali. Neela fought with Nukumba. Lakshmana with Virupaksha, and Rama fought with 4 at the same time. Indrajit hit Angada powerfully with his Gada, and in return the prince of Kishkinda broke his chariot and his horses as well as his charioteer. By and large, the army of Rama was gaining the upper hand. Virupaksha was killed by a single arrow from the bow of Lakshmana. All the chariots were crushed by the Vanaras to powder, and the fights were really intense and interesting to watch. The field of battle was covered by the many weapons of the Rakshasas. With the trees and the rocks used by the Vanaras, and the setting sun was welcome to all of them. Even as they were fighting, the sun had set and night set in swiftly. But they did not pay any attention to it. The fight continued, and during the night, when they could not see each other properly, the incensed Rakshasas and the Vanaras fought with fury. The Rakshasas found their strengths increasing with the advent of the night, and they made full use of it. The Vanaras, however, were undaunted, and so the fight went on all through the night. Jai Shri Ram. Shri Ram Ram Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Ramanama Varanane. Om Shri Ramar Pranamast. Chapter 15, Part 2 of Ramayana's Yudhakhanda, the Nagapasha. Apadamahartaram Dataram Sarvasampadam Lokaviramam Shriramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamyaham. Rama and Lakshmana were fighting with their bows, and each arrow was claiming a life. The noise was like that of the 7 seas during the great deluge at the end of the Yuga. Ravana's army could not withstand the arrows of Rama and Lakshmana, and they fled from their presence. Indrajit vanished from there and fought with his Maya tactics. Indrajit had been treated very roughly by Angada, and he was furious with him. Rama said, I want you all to assemble in one place. This son of Ravana has been blessed with boons from Brahma, and he is bent on harassing the 3 worlds. It is the prodding of Yama which has made him come to us and fight with us. Please do not be worried about him. I will fight with him. In the meantime, Indrajit disappeared into the sky, and from there he showered arrows on Rama and Lakshmana. He wounded them with several arrows. Unseen by them, he managed to send arrow after arrow, and finally with his arrows he bound the 2 brothers. The Vanaras were watching, and they found the noble brothers tied up by the poisonous bonds which went by the name Nagapasha. The valiant Indrajit had adopted his Maya tactics, and while unseen by them, he had managed to send the dread Astra, and they were caught in its coils. While fighting, he said, Indra, the Lord of the heavens, has not been able to withstand my valor. He is afraid to come near me. How can then you dare to accost me in the battle? Rama and Lakshmana were bound by the Nagapasha, and it was not possible for them to open their eyes. They were also wounded badly by the arrows of Indrajit, and they were like twins, palasa trees, crimson with flowers. Rama dropped to the ground in a faint, and soon his brother lay beside him. The glorious bow slipped from his hand and lay by his side. Panic set in the army. Sugriva, Hanuman and others were helpless, and they did not know what they should do faced with this calamity. Vibhishana knew the potency of the bonds which held the princess in its grips, and he could do nothing. The Vanaras looked hard at the sky, but they could not see Indrajit. Vibhishana was the only one who could see through his guise and discern him. The prince Indrajit said, Look on this great hero, who was the death of Khara and Dhoshana. He and his valiant brother are now lying on the ground, caught helplessly in the coils of the serpents. Not all the rishis nor all the devas can release them. My dear father will now be rid of the one thorn which was hurting him. All the noise made by this army and its leaders is like the noise made by the clouds in the season Sharad, when there is no rain but just noise. He went on with his work of destruction, and there was not one chief among the Vanaras who had not been hurt by him. He was now certain that the Kosala brothers were dead, and followed by a jubilant crowd, he entered Lanka in triumph. Sugriva was extremely worried for Rama and Lakshmana. Vibhishana said, Do not weep, Sugriva. I can see that they have fainted and they are not dead. If we have ever performed any good acts at any time, they will wake up from this faint, and let us comfort each other with hopes of seeing them get up. Truth and righteousness will have to win in the end. Vibhishana recited some verses and sprinkled water on the eyes of Sugriva. He then said, This is not the time to despair. The army is panic-stricken, and it is up to you to bring a semblance of order in the ranks. Your excessive affection for your friends will be enough to weaken you. Do not give in to weakness. Rouse up your sleeping Vela and try to act. We will have to guard these two very carefully, and when they regain consciousness, they will bring joy to our hearts. I can see that they are not dead. Their faces have not lost the glow which is sure to leave them once life abandons the body. I assure you there is nothing to worry. No harm will befall them. You must take care of your army or else it will be wiped out completely. Can you not see the terror in the eyes of the Vanaras? You should comfort them and tell them that nothing untoward has happened and they should be of good cheer. Together, Vibhishana and Sugriva undertook the task of reassuring the army and making them shed the excessive fear which had gripped their hearts. Jai Shri Ram. Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Ramanama Varanane. Om Shri Ramar Pranamast. Chapter 16 of Ramayana's Yudhakhanda. Sita sees Rama on the field. Shri Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Vedase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaya Pataye Namaha. Indrajit, in the meantime, entered the city of Lanka followed by his army. He went to his father and told him what had happened. Ravana rushed to him from his throne and embraced him warmly again and again. He wanted to know the details. His son was only too happy to recount how he had tied them up with the Nagapasha and that they were dead. Ravana's joy knew no bounds and he was very proud of his son who had done such a great service to him. There was nothing but peace in the mansion of Ravana that night. The fear in the hearts of the Vanaras had not been set aside. They stood around their leader Rama, who looked as though he would never get up again, and every noise and every whisper of the trees made them jump in fear, since they had become so scared of Indrajit and his Maya warfare. Ravana at once sent word to the Rakshasis who were guarding Sita. They came, and with them came Trijata. With a smile on his face, Ravana said, "Go at once and tell Sita that her dear husband Rama and his brother Lakshmana have been killed by Indrajit. Place her in the Pushpaka Vimana and let her see for herself the dead forms of the Kosala princes. Depending on him and his Vela, she refused my love and now he is lying dead on the battlefield. Let her now forget him and come to me. Let her shed her sorrow and become mine. If she sees Rama dead, she will know that she has no other course open to her except to accept my love and please me. She will do it on her own." The Rakshasis went to Sita and they placed her in the Pushpaka. They forced her to sit in it, and Trijata was also with her as the Vimana rose up in the sky. Sita now saw the field of battle and saw the devastation caused in the army of the Vanaras. She saw that the Rakshasas were jubilant and there was despair writ on the faces of her Rama's men. Her eyes then lighted on Rama and Lakshmana. She saw the wounds which were bleeding and she saw the arrows which had lodged in their bodies. They were hurt very badly. They were lying on the beds of arrows and they were still. Tears flowed unheeded from her eyes and she gazed with love and despair on the face of her beloved Rama. She saw Lakshmana and her sorrow broke out in wails. She saw Lakshmana and her sorrow broke out in wails. She said, "All the words of the wise that I would be a Sumangali have been proved false. It was said that my Rama would perform the Ashwamedha and win fame as great as that of any other king of the rays of the sun. That is a false prophecy, since he has died before even the coronation. How could the words of our Guru Vashishta prove false? My feet also have the sign called the Padmareka, which assure one that she will never lose her lord, and yet I see him dead. Rama, who killed the Rakshasas effortlessly in the Janasthana, is now lying dead, killed by the son of Ravana. Rama, who is the master of all the Astras, could not summon even one of them to counteract the effect of this Astra hurled by that sinner. His Maya tactics have deceived my lord, or else how can one escape from my husband's anger? I realize now that fate is more powerful than all other forces in this world. Even Yama is rendered helpless before fate. Trijata was listening to the lament of Sita, and she was very sorry for the princess she was very fond of. She said, Devi, do not weep. Your lord is not dead. Both of them are alive. I will tell you how I am so sure. If they had been killed, then this divine Vimana by name Pushpaka would not have taken you in and flown in the sky. You are a Sumangali, and that is why you have been carried by Pushpaka. I can see that several of the heroes are guarding Rama and his brother, and it seems to me that they are waiting for them to recover from the deep trance into which they have fallen. Believe me when I say these words. Take a good look at this dear face of your beloved Lord, since it is a long time since you have saw him. Look at him and his brother with a calm frame of mind, since I know that they are alive. I have never seen a dead man look like so alive. Never once have I spoken an untruth, my Devi, and I will not do so hereafter. Look at their faces. There is a glow about them which would have been absent if they had been dead. Forget this sorrow. It is not necessary. It is needless. Rama and Lakshmana cannot die, not at the hands of Indrajit. Sita was convinced by the words of Trijata, and she placed her palms together as a gesture of salutation to Rama. The Vimana turned towards Lanka, and Sita was taken back to Ashokavana. Jai Shri Sita Ram. Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Ramanama Varanane. Om Shri Ramar Pranamastu.